She collapsed by the fence line. The cowboy lifted her gently and said, "You'll wake up safe now." Cole Mercer rode the fence line the way he always did, slow, watchful, and quiet. The sun was dropping behind the red mesas, turning the whole sky the color of old copper. Out here on Bramble Ridge, a man learned to read land like a book. A tilted post meant wind trouble. A broken wire meant scavengers. A strange shadow meant something worse. This ranch sat on the edge of the dustward frontier, where people still lived with boots and saddles even though the stars above carried ships and satellites. The nearest town, Drywater Station, was half wooden boardwalk and half metal dome. A place where you could buy a rope, a radio coil, and a bag of grain in the same store. Cole preferred the quiet miles between. His horse, Juniper, stepped steady over hard ground. The fence ran like a thin line across the desert, posts, wire, and little sensor tags that blinked faint green when everything was normal. Those tags were old tech, but they worked. Cole liked things that worked. A soft beep came from the tag on the next post. Juniper stopped. Cole leaned down, eyes narrowing. The sensor light wasn't green. It was pale yellow, like a warning that hadn't decided to become trouble yet. Cole slid off his saddle and crouched by the post. He checked the wire, not cut, not loose. He touched the tag casing. Warm. Too warm for a cooling evening. He didn't like that. The wind shifted, bringing a faint smell, burnt metal like lightning had struck something nearby. Cole stood, hand resting near the old side holster at his hip. He didn't draw anything. He didn't want to scare his own thoughts into panic, but his body stayed ready all the same. "Easy, girl," he murmured to Juniper. He walked forward, following the fence line toward a dip in the land. The sand there held old tracks, half blown away by the wind. Most were from small animals and roaming cattle, but one set looked different. Light steps, barely any weight, like someone had been running. Cole's eyes lifted. Something lay near the fence ahead. At first it looked like a bundle of cloth caught on a thorn bush. Then the bundle moved. Cole's stomach tightened. He hurried, boots crunching softly, and the scene sharpened into truth. A young woman lay on her side by the fence, one arm stretched toward the wire as if she had tried to grab it for support. Her hair was dusty and dark, stuck to her forehead. Her clothes were strange, sleek fabric with thin silver seams that didn't belong to any ranch hand or town traveler Cole had ever met. She wasn't moving. Cole dropped to one knee beside her, careful. He checked for breathing the way his father had taught him long ago, watching the chest, listening close, feeling the faint push of air. She breathed. Shallow but real. Relief hit him quick and sharp, followed by another feeling, worry because people didn't collapse by his fence line for no reason. He glanced around. The desert was wide and empty. No wagons, no riders, no dust trail. Only the evening wind and a sky full of early stars. Cole touched 2 fingers to the side of her neck. A pulse fluttered like a scared bird. "Ma'am," he said softly, "can you hear me?" Her eyelids trembled. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but no sound came. Cole noticed her wrist. A band clung there, thin and dark like a bracelet, but it wasn't jewelry. A tiny light pulsed under its surface, dim as a dying ember. Lines of small symbols ran along the edge, too sharp and clean to be hand-carved, not frontier work, off-world. Cole's mind ran through possible answers, and none of them felt good. He slid his arm under her shoulders and lifted her carefully. She weighed less than he expected, like a person who hadn't eaten right in days. Her head fell against his chest, and he held her steady. "You'll wake up safe now," he said, not sure why he chose those words, only that they felt right. Juniper shifted, ears pricked forward as if she understood the situation was serious. Cole carried the woman to the saddle, then paused. He didn't want to place her wrong, didn't want her to slide or fall. He unrolled the small blanket from behind his seat and spread it carefully over Juniper's back, making a soft cradle. He eased the woman onto the blanket and secured her with a spare strap, gentle but firm. Then he climbed into the saddle and turned toward home. The ranch house sat at the center of a wide, flat stretch of land, built from old timber and reinforced with metal braces. From a distance, it looked like a normal frontier home: porch, lantern hooks, a water pump, and a barn off to the side. But hidden under the porch steps was a power cell. Buried under the barn floor was a signal jammer. Cole didn't advertise those things. A quiet life was safer when strangers didn't know what you had. Juniper moved faster now, feeling Cole's urgency. The woman didn't wake, but she shifted once, a small, restless motion. Her fingers curled, and her wristband glowed a little brighter. Cole watched it with a side glance. He didn't like devices that lit up when they shouldn't. He reached the ranch before full dark. He guided Juniper into the yard, then dismounted and lifted the woman down again. Inside, the air was cooler. The house smelled like coffee grounds, saddle leather, and the faint spice of dried herbs hanging by the window. Cole laid the woman on his couch first, then moved quickly to gather supplies. He poured water into a clean bowl. He grabbed a medical kit from a cabinet, basic frontier tools, plus a few things he ordered from a trader once a year. Bandage strips, antiseptic gel, nutrient packets. He set everything near her. The woman's face was pale under the dust. A small cut marked her cheek. Her lips were cracked. On her neck, barely visible under dirt and sweat, were tiny metallic dots like freckles made of steel. Cole stared at them. Implant points. He'd seen those once before, years ago, when he still traveled near bigger ports, not common on the frontier. Not normal. He took a slow breath and forced his hands to stay steady. Panic didn't help. Only work did. He cleaned the cut on her cheek first. Then he checked her forearms. There were faint bruises, thin lines that looked like restraints had been there. Not fresh enough to bleed, but fresh enough to tell a story. Cole's jaw tightened. "Who did this to you?" he muttered. The bracelet on her wrist gave another weak pulse. Cole didn't touch it yet. He didn't know if it would shock him, alarm someone, or do something worse. Instead, he focused on what he could do, make her comfortable, keep her alive, and figure out what kind of trouble had stepped into his quiet world. A sound outside made him freeze. A soft hum, high like an electric mosquito. Cole walked to the window and shifted the curtain just enough to see. A drone floated above the far edge of his pasture, small, dark, and shaped like a flat disc. It moved slowly, scanning the ground with a thin beam of pale light. Cole felt every muscle in his body turn sharp. He stepped away from the window and moved fast. He crossed to the back room, lifted a loose floorboard, and pulled out a compact control device. He didn't like using it. Using it meant admitting his life wasn't as simple as he pretended. He pressed a switch. A low vibration ran through the house. Hidden nodes under the porch and barn warmed up, sending a quiet ripple into the air. The jammer. Outside, the drone's beam flickered. It wobbled, then drifted sideways like it suddenly couldn't remember where it was. After a moment, it turned and floated back toward the desert, disappearing into the night. Cole let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. He returned to the couch. The woman's eyelids fluttered again. This time they opened, just a crack. Her eyes were a strange gray-blue, like storm clouds lit from inside. They focused on Cole, unfocused at first, then locking onto his face with sudden fear. She tried to sit up, but her body failed her. She made a small sound, not a scream, more like a trapped breath. "It's all right," Cole said quickly, voice low. "You're safe, you're in my home." Her eyes darted to the window, then to the door, then back to him. Her gaze landed on the bracelet on her wrist, and she clutched it like it was both danger and comfort. She whispered. Her voice was rough like sandpaper. "They're coming." Cole leaned closer, keeping his hands visible. "Who's coming?" Her throat worked as she swallowed. "Hunters." A chill ran through Cole. "Bounty hunters?" She shook her head, weak. "Not for money, for property." Cole's face hardened. He didn't like the word she chose, not one bit. "You got a name?" he asked, her eyes closed as if saying it cost her strength. "Lyra." "Lyra," Cole repeated, steady. "I'm Cole, you're hurt and you're dehydrated. I'm going to help you." Lyra's eyes opened again, pleading. Don't let them take me." Cole glanced once more toward the window, toward the dark where the drone had been. "They won't," he said, and surprised himself with how certain he sounded. Lyra tried to speak again, but her breath hitched. She winced and pressed a hand to her side. Cole checked carefully and found a tender spot under her ribs, no open wound, but a deep bruise. He eased her back down and offered her water. She drank a little, trembling. "What were you doing near my fence?" Cole asked. Lyra's eyes flickered like her mind was moving faster than her body. "Running," she said. "I couldn't cross open ground. I saw the line. I thought signal people." Cole understood that. Fences meant land. Land meant someone lived nearby. Someone might help. He looked again at her wristband. "That thing on you, is it tracking you?" Lyra didn't answer at first. Her fingers tightened around it. Then she gave a weak nod. Cole's thoughts turned cold and practical. If she was being tracked, his ranch was already on a list somewhere. If drones were scanning, riders would come next. Lyra swallowed again, forcing words out. "Outer colony," she whispered. "They said no escape." Her head rolled to the side and her eyes started to close. "Lyra," Cole said, trying to keep her awake. "Listen to me." You're safe here, but I need to know what we're dealing with. Lyra's lips moved, but the words didn't form. Her breathing slowed. She fell back into unconsciousness, worn out by fear and exhaustion. Cole sat back in the chair across from her couch, hands clasped in front of him. He stared at the woman he barely knew, the strange bracelet, the implants, and the quiet house that suddenly felt too exposed. Outside, the wind sighed against the porch. Far away, a faint point of light moved across the sky, maybe a satellite, maybe something else. On this frontier, it was hard to tell. Cole rose and walked to the wall where his rifle rested. He didn't pick it up yet. He only stood there, thinking. He had two choices. He could take Lyra to town and hope Drywater Station could protect her. Or he could keep her here and face whatever came. Cole looked back at her sleeping face. A man didn't leave someone on the ground by the fence line, not if he had any kind of heart, not if he wanted to be the kind of man he claimed to be. He moved to the door, locked it, then checked the windows. He activated the ranch perimeter sensors, the ones he usually kept in low-power mode to save energy. The tiny tags on the fence would now report anything larger than a rabbit. Then he returned to the couch and set a clean blanket over Lyra's shoulders. His voice was quiet but firm, as if he were making a promise to the room itself. "All right," Cole said. "If they're coming, then they're coming to the wrong place." And out in the dark beyond the fence line, something unseen changed direction. Drawn toward the ranch like a storm finding land, morning came slow and pale, like the desert was tired of making new days. Cole Mercer was already awake. He sat at the kitchen table with a tin cup of coffee, listening to the ranch the way other men listened to music. The house made small sounds, wood settling, the old fridge humming, the wind tapping the porch rail. Outside, Juniper shifted in the corral and snorted once. Cole's eyes kept drifting to the couch in the next room. Lyra slept under a clean blanket. Her face looked calmer than last night, but her breathing was still shallow. Every now and then her wristband pulsed with a dim light, like it was counting something. Cole didn't like that device, not one bit. He stood, walked over, and crouched beside her. He checked her forehead with the back of his hand, warm but not burning. He had given her water and a nutrient packet in the night. It helped, but she was still weak. He looked at the tiny metallic dots on her neck again. Implants. He had tried to tell himself they were just medical markers, but deep down he knew better. Markers meant ownership, tracking, control. Cole straightened and walked to his back room. He opened a cabinet and pulled out an old scanner, handheld, dusty, and scratched. It wasn't fancy. It was the kind frontier medics used when someone fell off a horse or got sick from bad water, but it could read basic signals. Cole turned it on and brought it near Lyra's wristband. The scanner screen flickered. Then it showed a reading that made Cole's stomach tighten. Signal active, encrypted, range unknown. "Of course," Cole muttered. He stepped away and paced once, thinking hard. If that band was broadcasting, someone could follow it. Last night's drone might have been the first search sweep, not the last. If more drones came, they would map the ranch, watch the doors, and wait. And if riders came after that, Cole looked out the window at his wide land. The fence line stretched like a promise and a warning. He didn't have much time. A soft sound came from the couch. Lyra shifted. Her eyes opened slowly, blinking against the morning light. She tried to sit up. Her face tightened with pain, but she kept pushing until she was upright, breathing carefully. Cole moved closer, slow and calm. "Easy," he said. "You're still hurt." Lyra's eyes studied him, wary but less wild than last night. "Where am I?" "My ranch," Cole answered. "Bramble Ridge." She looked around at the wood walls, the simple furniture, the hanging herbs by the window. It didn't look like a trap. It looked like a home. That seemed to confuse her. "You brought me here," she said. Cole nodded. "You collapsed by my fence." "I couldn't leave you out there." Lyra swallowed. "You should have." Cole's jaw tightened. "That's not how I do things." She stared at him for a moment, then looked down at her own hands. Her fingers trembled a little. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders like she needed something solid to hold on to. "Water?" Cole asked. Lyra nodded once. Cole poured a fresh cup and handed it to her. She drank slowly, like she didn't trust her body not to fail again. When she finished, she leaned back, eyes closing for a second. Cole didn't push. He let silence sit between them until she was ready. Lyra opened her eyes again. "You saw the band," she said softly. "I saw it," Cole replied. "And I saw the implants." Lyra's lips pressed together. "They put those in me." Who? Cole asked. Lyra hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward the window like she expected something to be watching. Then she said, "The company." Cole gave a short, bitter breath. "That narrows it down to 1,000. Lyra's gaze sharpened. "Not like the small traders, a real one, big ships, private security, labs." Cole didn't speak, but something changed in his face, like a door in his memory creaked open. Lyra noticed. "You know," she said. Cole walked to the sink and rinsed the cup slowly, buying time. "I've heard stories," he said. Lyra's voice turned urgent. "It's not stories. They take people from the colonies. They say it's work contracts. They say it's training, but it's cages, needles, tests." Cole's hands stopped moving. Lyra's eyes filled with something that wasn't just fear. It was anger and pain and a tired kind of courage. "They call it the Outer Colony Program," she continued. "They told us we were lucky. They said we were chosen, but they never planned to let anyone leave." Cole turned to face her. "How did you get out?" Lyra glanced down at her wristband. It's not only a tracker, it's a key. They used it to lock doors to control schedules, but someone inside helped me change it." Cole narrowed his eyes. "Someone helped you?" Lyra nodded. "A technician. He said the company was building something under this planet, something old. He said they needed someone like me." Cole's chest tightened. He had lived on this land for years. He knew every rock and dry creek. He didn't like the sound of something under this planet. "Someone like you," Cole repeated. "What does that mean?" Lyra's voice dropped. "They said my blood reacts to alien systems. They said I can wake machines that normal people can't." Cole felt a cold prickling along his arms. Alien systems weren't a bedtime tale out here. People found old ruins sometimes, half-buried metal that didn't match human work. Most folks avoided it. The ones who didn't often disappeared or came back wrong in the head, talking about voices in the sand. Cole studied Lyra's face. She looked too honest to be lying, and last night's drone had been real. Cole asked, "That band, is it still active?" Lyra didn't answer right away. Then she gave a small nod. "I tried to shut it off," she whispered. "I can't, it's tied to my implants." Cole ran a hand over his jaw. "Then they can track you." "Yes," Lyra said, "and now they can track you too." Cole didn't argue, it was already true. He had used the jammer last night. That meant someone's drone lost signal near his ranch. A company didn't ignore that. He stepped closer and kept his voice even. "Listen, I'm not turning you away, but we need a plan." Lyra's shoulders sagged with relief and worry mixed together. "I don't want to bring danger to you." Cole gave a short, humorless smile. "Danger finds this frontier whether you invite it or not." Lyra's eyes followed him as he moved to a hidden panel behind a bookshelf. He pressed a spot on the wall and the wood slid aside, revealing a small compartment. Inside was a compact communicator, an energy cell, and a thin pistol-like tool with a wide barrel. Lyra stared. "You're not just a rancher." Cole shut the panel. "I'm a rancher now." Lyra's voice softened. "But before," Cole didn't answer, and the silence was heavy. Outside, a faint sound drifted in through the window like a distant engine, far away but moving closer. Cole went still. Lyra heard it too. Her eyes widened. "They're here." Cole moved to the window and looked out across the flat land. At first he saw nothing. Then he spotted a tiny black dot in the sky. Another followed it. Then a third. Drones. They flew low, scanning in slow patterns like hawks looking for prey. Cole's jaw clenched. 3 of them, maybe more behind. Lyra's breathing quickened. She clutched the blanket, eyes shining with panic. "I told you." Cole turned back to her. "Hey, look at me." Lyra's gaze locked onto his. Cole kept his voice steady like he was calming a spooked horse. "You're not alone, understand?" Lyra swallowed, trying to breathe. I can't go back." "You won't," Cole said. He crossed the room and opened a floor hatch near the rug. Lyra watched as he pulled out a small metal box and set it on the table. "What is that?" she asked. "Signal scrambler," Cole answered. "Stronger than the fence jammer, but it drains power fast." Lyra stared at him. "Why do you have that?" Cole's eyes stayed on the box. "Because I learned a long time ago that some people don't take no for an answer." He flipped the device on. A low hum filled the air like a quiet thunder trapped in a jar. Outside, the drone's lights flickered. One of them drifted sideways, confused, then corrected itself and kept scanning. Cole frowned. "They're resistant," Lyra whispered. "They updated them. They learn." Cole didn't like hearing that. Machines that learned meant a long chase. The drones passed over the ranch yard. Their scanning beams brushed the roof, the porch, the corral. Juniper stamped and tossed her head, nervous. Cole's hand moved to his belt. Lyra looked at the door. "If they see me?" They won't, Cole said. He guided her gently off the couch. She winced but stood, leaning on him. She was unsteady but stubborn. Cole led her toward the back room. There's a storm shelter, he said. Old rock cellar, reinforced, no windows. Lyra nodded, breathing hard. Okay. As they moved, Lyra's wristband pulsed brighter, once, twice, 3 times, like it was excited. Cole noticed. What does that mean? Lyra's voice shook. It means they're close enough to ping it. Cole's eyes hardened. Then we move fast. He helped her into the cellar and shut the hidden door. The air inside smelled like earth and stored grain. A dim lantern light flickered on, powered by a backup cell. Lyra sat on a crate, shoulders tight. Cole, she whispered, if they don't find me today, they'll come again. Cole crouched in front of her. Then we don't wait for again? Lyra blinked. What do you mean? Cole took a breath. His voice was low but clear. We find out who's hunting you, we cut that signal, and if they're building something under my land, I want to know what it is. Lyra stared at him, shocked by the calm strength in his words. The ranch above them creaked softly as the drones passed again. Then through the thick earth they heard something else, not flying, rolling, a distant rumble like engines on ground vehicles. Cole's eyes lifted. Lyra whispered, "Riders." Cole stood up slowly, like a man preparing for a hard day's work. He checked the small screen on the cellar wall, an old monitor connected to outside cameras. The feed flickered, then sharpened. 4 hover bikes appeared on the far ridge, kicking up dust as they approached. Behind them, a larger vehicle crawled forward, armored, heavy, and marked with a clean white symbol Cole recognized even from a distance. A corporate crest. Cole's stomach turned cold. Lyra's voice was barely a breath. That's them. Cole stared at the screen, and the past he tried to bury knocked on the door of the present. They found us, he said. Above, the first hover bike crossed the fence line like it wasn't even there. And the quiet ranch, the safe place Cole built with his own hands, was no longer invisible to the world. The rumble of engines grew louder above the storm cellar, deep and steady like thunder rolling across dry land. Cole Mercer stood still, eyes fixed on the small monitor that showed the outside cameras. Dust rose behind 4 hover bikes as they crossed the fence line without slowing. Behind them, the armored transport followed slowly, heavy and confident, like it already owned the land. Lyra sat on the crate, hands clenched together. Her breathing came fast. They never stop, she whispered. Once they lock onto you, they don't give up. Cole didn't answer right away. He watched the screen carefully, studying how the riders moved. They spread out as they approached the ranch house, 2 circling wide, one heading toward the barn, one coming straight toward the porch. Professional, not reckless bounty hunters, organized. He turned toward Lyra. Stay here, he said calmly. Her eyes widened. You can't go alone. I'm not going to fight unless I have to, he said, but I need to see what they want. They want me, Lyra said softly. Cole's expression hardened. Then they're going to be disappointed. He moved toward the ladder leading up to the hidden door. Before opening it, he paused and looked back at her. You trust me? He asked. Lyra hesitated only a second before nodding. Cole gave a small, reassuring smile. Good, keep the door locked behind me. He climbed up quietly and pushed open the hidden hatch beneath the rug. The house felt different now, tense like the air before a storm. Outside, engines hummed and shadows moved past the windows. Cole stepped onto the porch. The desert sun hung high, bright and unforgiving. Dust drifted through the air where the hover bikes had landed. The riders wore sleek suits with pale armor plates and mirrored visors. One of them removed his helmet. A tall man with sharp features and cold eyes looked at Cole like he was inspecting livestock. Mr. Mercer, the man said smoothly, we appreciate your cooperation. Cole leaned casually against the porch post, arms loose at his sides. You're on private land, he said. Gates back the way you came. The man smiled faintly. We're not here for your land, we're here for stolen company property. Cole's gaze stayed calm. Don't know anything about that. The man tapped something on a wrist console. One of the drones floated closer, scanning the house. You activated a signal jammer last night, the man continued. That's illegal equipment for a rancher, Cole shrugged. Out here you do what you need to survive. The man's smile faded. We tracked a subject to this location, a young woman injured. She escaped a controlled environment. She's dangerous to herself and others. Cole felt anger rise but kept his face neutral. Sounds like a problem for someone else. The man stepped closer. We know she's here. Cole's silence stretched. The riders shifted behind their leader, hands resting near their weapons. The wind lifted dust around their boots. Cole straightened slowly. "You're not coming inside," the man sighed like he was tired of repeating himself. "Mr. Mercer, you misunderstand. We are not asking permission." Behind him, two riders started toward the porch. Cole's hand moved, quick but smooth, pressing a small switch hidden under the railing. A low hum vibrated through the ground. Suddenly, the ranch perimeter lit up, small posts along the fence flashing blue as an energy grid activated. The drones flickered, their scanning beams wobbling. The leader frowned. "You're making this more difficult than necessary." Cole's voice stayed quiet but firm. "Turn around and leave." The man's eyes narrowed. "Last chance." Cole didn't move. The standoff hung in the air for a long moment. Then one of the riders rushed forward. Cole stepped sideways and grabbed a hanging rope near the porch. He yanked it hard. A hidden panel dropped from the roof, releasing a burst of light that confused the drones. They spun wildly, signals scrambled. The riders reacted instantly, raising their weapons. Cole moved faster than they expected. He rolled off the porch, kicking dust into the air, and pressed another control on his belt. The ground near the barn erupted with sparks as small traps activated, non-lethal shock lines designed to stop predators. One rider hit the line and staggered back, armor crackling. Inside the cellar, Lyra watched the monitor with wide eyes. She saw Cole moving across the yard, calm and precise, using the ranch itself like a weapon. "He's done this before," she whispered. Outside, the leader raised his hand. "Enough, capture him." Two riders advanced, weapons aimed. Cole backed toward the barn, drawing a compact tool from his belt. It looked like a pistol, but fired a wide pulse of blue energy. The wave struck the ground in front of the riders, forcing them to stop as their suits flickered. The drones recovered and swooped lower. Cole's eyes flicked upward. "Figures," he muttered. A beam shot toward him. He dove behind a water trough, the metal ringing as the beam struck. Dust filled the air. The peaceful ranch had turned into a battlefield. Inside the cellar, Lyra's wristband glowed brighter. She gasped as a sharp pain ran through her arm. "They're boosting the signal," she said through clenched teeth. On the monitor, she saw Cole pinned behind cover, fear twisted in her chest. She stood slowly, ignoring the pain in her ribs. "I can't just hide," she whispered. Her hand hovered over the cellar door. Outside, Cole peeked around the trough. He saw the armored transport moving closer now, heavy wheels crushing the ground. Its side opened, revealing a large scanning device aimed directly at the house. "They're serious," Cole muttered. He fired another pulse, forcing one rider back, but the drones kept pressing closer. One hovered directly above him, projecting a thin red beam that scanned his body. A voice echoed from the transport. "Stand down. You are interfering with company operations." Cole wiped sweat from his brow. "Not today." He slammed his palm onto a small remote. The barn doors burst open, releasing a swarm of tiny decoy drones that shot into the air, scattering in every direction. The enemy drones hesitated, confused by multiple signals. Cole used the moment to run toward the house, but halfway there the cellar door opened. Lyra stepped out into the sunlight. "Lyra!" Cole shouted. The riders turned toward her instantly. She stood trembling but determined, her eyes fixed on the approaching enemies. The wristband glowed intensely, lines of light spreading up her arm like silver veins. The air around her shimmered. One rider fired a capture net. Before it reached her, something invisible stopped it midair. The net froze, suspended like time itself had slowed. Lyra gasped, eyes wide with shock at what she was doing. Cole stared, stunned. The ground beneath Lyra's feet glowed faintly, responding to her presence. Somewhere deep under the ranch, ancient technology stirred. The leader stepped forward, voice sharp. "Asset confirmed." "Secure immediately." Lyra raised her hands without thinking. A wave of energy spread outward, not violent but powerful. The drones lost control, spinning away. The riders stumbled as their suit systems flickered. Cole felt the air vibrate around him. Lyra's face showed fear and determination mixed together. "I won't go back," she said, voice stronger now. For a moment, everything stopped. The riders regrouped, preparing another attack. Cole moved beside Lyra, standing shoulder to shoulder with her. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She nodded, though her hands shook. Cole looked at the enemies, then back at her. "Looks like you're more than they expected," Lyra swallowed. "I don't know how to control it." "That's all right," Cole said. "We'll figure it out." The armored transport rolled closer, its weapon systems powering up with a deep hum. Cole's eyes hardened. "This isn't over," he said. Lyra followed his gaze and saw the machine approaching like an unstoppable wall. The ranch was no longer just a home. It was the center of something much bigger, something buried under the earth and waking because of her. And as the transport's weapons aimed toward them, Lyra realized this fight wasn't just about escape anymore. It was about survival, and the truth hidden beneath the frontier. Dust swirled across the ranch yard as the armored transport rolled closer, heavy wheels grinding against the dry earth. The air vibrated with a low mechanical hum that felt wrong against the quiet rhythm of the frontier. Cole Mercer stood beside Lyra, both of them facing the machine that now blocked the open horizon. Lyra's hands trembled faintly, silver light still flickering under her skin. The energy she had released moments ago faded slowly, leaving her breathing uneven. Cole glanced at her. "You still with me?" he asked softly. Lyra nodded, though her eyes showed both fear and determination. "I didn't know I could do that." "Well," Cole said calmly, "you just gave us a fighting chance." The armored vehicle stopped a few yards away. Its side panels opened with a sharp hiss, revealing a tall scanning tower rising from inside. The corporate crest shone bright against the metal, a clean white symbol that felt cold and final. The leader stepped forward again, brushing dust from his coat like he was annoyed more than threatened. "You are interfering with classified operations," he said firmly. "Return the asset immediately. No further damage needs to occur." Cole crossed his arms. "You've already damaged enough." The man's eyes shifted to Lyra. "Lyra, you know what you are. You know you belong with us." Lyra's voice shook but stayed strong. "I don't belong to anyone." The leader tilted his head slightly. "You misunderstand. You were created for a purpose." Cole stepped slightly in front of her. "She's a person, not a project." The man's smile turned thin. "Mr. Mercer, you are standing against forces far beyond your ranch." Cole shrugged lightly. "Wouldn't be the first time." Behind them, the ground vibrated again, not from the transport, but from deep below the earth. The soil near the fence line cracked faintly, lines of pale blue light shining through the dust like veins beneath skin. Lyra gasped. "It's responding." Cole looked down. "What is?" "The structure," she whispered. "The alien system they talked about, it's waking up." The leader's expression changed instantly. Excitement replaced cold control. "Excellent," he said quietly. "Begin activation." One of the riders pressed a command on a tablet. The scanning tower hummed louder, sending a focused beam toward Lyra. Pain shot through her body. She staggered, gripping her arm. Cole stepped closer, supporting her. "Hey, stay with me." Lyra's voice came out strained. "They're forcing the connection." The beam intensified. The ground shook harder, small rocks bouncing as something ancient shifted beneath the ranch. Cole looked around quickly. The barn rattled. Juniper whinnied nervously in the corral. "This place is going to break apart if they keep pushing," he said. Lyra forced herself upright. "I think I can stop them." "How?" Cole asked. She swallowed hard. "If I connect willingly instead of letting them control it, I might be able to shut their systems down." Cole studied her face. She looked scared but sure. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. Lyra gave a small, grateful smile. "I know." She stepped forward into the beam. The light surrounded her completely. Symbols flashed along her wristband, brighter than ever before. The silver lines under her skin glowed, spreading across her arms like living energy. The leader watched with intense focus. "Yes," he whispered. "This is what we've waited for." Lyra closed her eyes. Suddenly, the ground split open a few feet away, revealing a circular metal surface buried deep under the ranch. It rose slowly, ancient and smooth, covered in symbols older than any human language. Cole stared in shock. "You've been sitting on that this whole time." Lyra's voice echoed strangely, layered with something deeper. "It was asleep, until now." The alien structure opened like a flower made of light, releasing waves of energy that rolled across the land. The drones flickered wildly. The riders stumbled as their suit systems struggled to keep up. The scanning tower beeped rapidly, losing control. Lyra lifted her hands. Instead of a violent blast, a calm wave spread outward. The riders' weapons powered down. The drones dropped gently to the ground, inactive but not destroyed. Cole watched in awe. "You're shutting them off." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly. "I don't want to hurt anyone, just stop them." The leader shouted angrily. "Override, override now," but nothing responded. His console blinked red. Lyra turned toward him. Her voice was steady now. You used people, you hurt them, this ends today. The alien structure projected a wide beam into the sky. A signal burst outward, invisible but powerful. Cole felt it in his chest like a deep vibration. What did you just do? He asked quietly. Lyra breathed slowly. I sent everything, all their data, all their secrets to nearby colonies. Everyone will know. The leader's face turned pale. You foolish girl, you have no idea what you've done. Lyra lowered her hands. The light faded slowly around her. I know exactly, she said. Without their systems working, the riders looked uncertain. One by one, they stepped back toward the transport. The leader glared at Cole and Lyra, anger burning in his eyes. This isn't finished. Cole gave a small nod toward the open desert. You should probably go. The transport's engine started again, slower now. Without support systems, it moved carefully, retreating across the fence line. The riders followed, silent and defeated. Soon only dust remained where they had been. The alien structure slowly sank back into the ground, the earth closing around it like nothing had ever happened. Lyra's legs gave out. Cole caught her before she fell. Easy, he said gently. She leaned against him, exhausted but smiling faintly. Is it over? For now, he said. They walked slowly back toward the house. The ranch looked messy but still standing. The sun dipped lower, turning everything gold again. Inside, Lyra sat at the table, hands wrapped around a cup of water. The glow under her skin faded until she looked normal again. What happens now? She asked quietly. Cole leaned against the counter. That's up to you. She looked toward the window, watching the wide land stretching toward the horizon. I thought I needed to keep running, she said, but maybe I just needed somewhere safe to stop. Cole nodded. You've got that here, as long as you want. Lyra turned to him, eyes soft but strong. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to help people, but I don't want to do it alone. Cole smiled slightly. Good thing you're not alone then. Evening settled gently around the ranch. The wind moved through the grass, carrying away the last signs of battle. Later, they stood together by the fence line where she had first collapsed. The sky burned orange and purple above them. Lyra touched the wire softly. This is where everything changed. Cole nodded. Sometimes the worst days become the beginning of something better. She looked at him, grateful and steady. You said I would wake up safe, he smiled. Looks like I was right. They watched the sun disappear beyond the horizon, the frontier quiet once more, but no longer empty. Together, they stood ready for whatever new story the open skies would bring.